Hello, friends. Let me tell you why I love the Anchor app. The Anchor app is the place to go for podcasting. It is new for me, but I'm enjoying it so far. Please download the free Anchor app or go to anchor.fm to get started. It is very easy. I've already recorded 2 podcasts, and this is my first ever advertisement. Please remember to review and submit like. It is now available on Spotify and Apple Podcasts. Hello and welcome to the podcast. My name is Scott. Hope all of you are doing well today. Have a new episode for you today about Food Wars Volume 4. If you haven't previously listened to the previous episodes of Food Wars, you'll definitely need to do that to understand what is going on. Food Wars is a popular manga series that I've been reading as well as television show. I've completed a television show and I enjoyed it very much. You can find that on Crunchyroll, which is also available online for free, with advertisements, of course. And you can also find Food Wars on Netflix. But I've been, like I said, focusing on collecting the manga series, and I've been enjoying it. I do enjoy collecting manga for different reasons. So if you don't know me, like I said, I read about 60 books a year, and I try to focus on different books. And this book is especially epic, this series, mainly because I worked in the hospitality industry. And I also enjoy the concept of these students who are going to an elite school, working and trying to learn how to be better at being chefs and what that means exactly. I think this captures the heart and soul of what it means to be a chef. So without further ado, let's kind of get into where we left off. So let's see here. I have taken some notes. Anyway, let's see here. Okay, so in Food Wars Volume 4, we start with Chapter 22 where we left off. So that is where Yukira, the main character, and Megumi were challenging a chef graduate, Shinomaya, for a food war challenge in order to rescue Megumi from her expulsion. So in the previous episode, Megumi was part of a class and was failed out of that class and therefore would be expelled from the school. But Yukira did not agree with the result, and in order to rescue her academic career, he challenged the chef, the teacher, a graduate student, to a food war, a food battle. And like I said, they at first decide that they can't agree on the rules and terms, primarily because the head chef does not think he needs to do it. But then, of course, Yukira risks his own expulsion, as well as the other teachers at the institute think that it is the right thing to do to allow the students to challenge the teacher. And if the students win, then they will be allowed to stay, of course. So as part of the showdown, it is decided that Megumi will be the main chef, and as she has to win on her own merit and her own belief in cooking abilities. And so, therefore, Yukira will help, but he will be a backup assistant chef to her main head chef position. In Chapter 23, Megumi starts to have a panic attack because she is going against the top chef who's from France, who has very, very traditional and powerful cooking skills. So she begins to worry that she is not good enough to stay in the school and that she's going to ruin Yukira's academic career as well. But Yukira slaps her on the hands together to get her to focus. It's a great technique. It only requires 2 people, though, so that if you're having a panic attack and you slap that person's hands together, they will lose focus of what they were thinking about. And this helps Megumi get into the process of focusing on her own dish. Yukira even tells her, don't worry about what the other person is making, focus on what you're making, and make it your own style. And so then Megumi decides what she will make. In Chapter 24, both teams are working hard. Both Megumi and Yukira have a bond while working together, which means that they can anticipate each other's needs while cooking. So this is a special bond to see between the 2 students. Whereas Shinomaya is working on his own. He comes out with a dish that's from France, chow farci. So we learn about his backstory and how he was one of the youngest chefs to move to France, and then how he set a goal to be the first Japanese chef to win the Plus Paul Award, which is awarded to up-and-coming French chefs. And so we learn about his backstory and how they like his food. The dish was served, but it is not his specialty. It is just a recipe that he thought would be appropriate for the exam. In Chapter 25, Megumi presents her dish, which is a rainbow terrine. which is made of like a pate of different types of vegetables and meats. The judges definitely enjoy her clever dish, which makes up a different color rainbow from the different vegetables. Megumi actually begins to cry because she thinks that she has a chance at staying because the judges actually do enjoy her food and meal. Then the judges begin to start picking, but they all begin to pick her opponent as the victor over her. In Chapter 26, Shinomiya won by a decisive margin. However, some judges begin to change their mind. Jin Dojima, who is the head chef and judge at the resort, explains that Shinomiya is stagnant as a chef and is not improving. He has not moved forward and has actually regressed since becoming a head chef and owning his own restaurant in France. And he says it's because he's won the award and he's achieved what he wanted to achieve, and therefore that is the reason why he's not serving his specialty, because he is no longer able to make it up to his head par anymore. So then we're treated to flashbacks of Shinomiya's past and how he was discriminated against because he's Japanese when he went to France. And in order to win, he had to have complete control over his kitchen. So he couldn't rely on other people for help. He had to be his own master and had to be fully dominating in the kitchen. But because of this, he lost his passion that made the cooking fun. And he also lost the teamwork that made cooking fun. But Jin convinces him to try Megumi's dish. And although that they admit that it wasn't perfect, they can feel the passion that went into the dish. And he votes and decides for Megumi to stay. In Chapter 27, with the judges changing their minds, it leads to a tie. That means Megumi and Yukira can stay. With this battle over, both chefs were saved and changed for the better. It means that Shinomiya is going to learn how to be a better chef and continue moving forward in progress, and realizes that he needs to find that passion, that spark again that got him into cooking. And Megumi realizes that she is able to stand on her own merit and she is able to stay at the school. Even if she didn't think at first she is there and she is successful. But after this is over with, Megumi thanks Yukira for his help, and she goes back to let the others know that that they're okay. But once she leaves Yukira, he punches a wall and is angry because he actually lost the match in his mind. But see, Yukira's head, he had a chance to win, and there's nothing but success and drive for him, and that's what makes him such a good chef. Very similar to Shinomiya. Okay. And once Yukira goes back to the room, Yuki, one of the fellow classmates, slaps him hard for being so dumb. The others decide to celebrate and play cards, and it is decided that everything will be back to normal soon. In Chapter 28, as the week progresses, the training camp tests are getting harder to pass. The school makes an announcement late at night for the students to meet at the dining hall. They're given a new assignment. They will have to create a new breakfast-style dish that will need to be ready by morning. It has to be complete with a buffet, and students have to do it by 6 in the morning, and this creates an uproar. Miss Irina is not worried about the assignment, but runs into her sister Alice in the hallway. It turns out they're very competitive, and you can sense the tension between them. In Chapter 29, the students talk about how this challenge is physically and mentally draining. The idea is that unless you have supreme confidence in your dish, you will, in fact, lose, because you have to have the confidence in order to get the rest you need in order to successfully serve your dish. Alice begins spying on Yukira, but is not impressed with the dish that he's currently making. 6 a.m. is almost there. The students get ready for the final exam. In Chapter 30, it is announced that the judges and friends and family of employees of the resort, the judges are the friends and family of the employees at the resort. Enrina and Yukira are stationed next to each other, in which case Enrina starts blowing away everyone out of the water with her successful dishes. The students have to serve 200 dishes and get the judges' approval within 2 hours. Everyone seems to be doing well and being successful except for Yukira, who is starting to lose the exam. And it appears that he is going to lose, and that is the final ending segment of this book series for Chapter 4. So in Chapter 5, we're going to find out how Yukira, if he makes it through, or what he's going to do to succeed. That's everything that happened in Food Wars Volume 4. Definitely recommend it. So, of course, one of my favorite series, so I got to recommend it for the art and the beauty and the talent that goes into the storyline. So I might have mentioned this in previous episodes, but one thing I like about Food Wars is the fact that all the recipes that they create in the book are listed in the back of each, manga booklet. So you can actually create your own version of the recipes that they use in the Food Wars, which is very cool and impressive. Now, maybe depending on where you live, you might have a harder time finding the ingredients, but it is still one of my favorite ideas of a manga series that, you can connect this to the real world, and this is how. I also enjoyed, of course, the competition. My only little slight complaint about this specific volume is that the majority of this volume, if you did not already realize, is the food war, the food battle that took place between Megumi and Shinomiya. While I definitely enjoyed the battle and thought it was very crucial to the storyline and the plot points, I felt like it took up the majority of this book, and that we're sort of, in the middle still of the training camp exercises that we're seeing. They're Hell Week, and at the end of the day, what we're seeing is that, the students have to learn how to adapt and how to graduate, and we're sort of left with this great cliffhanger, which I really enjoy, which is Yukira going to succeed? Which doesn't look like he is. But, in Food Wars, that's kind of the whole idea, is that the students aren't as good as they think. And then they, of course, come back and have a magical idea or something that saves the day typically. Although that doesn't always happen, as we'll soon find out. Although, spoilers, we don't really know what's going to happen, to Yukira. But I imagine, since he's the main character, I imagine he'll find some way, of course, of getting out of it. Anyway, that's all for today's episode. If you like today's episode, please be sure to share it with a friend, rate and review this podcast wherever you find it. Thanks again for listening. I greatly appreciate it. You can feel free to email me if you have any questions, like if you want to know those recipes. Email me at Scott, S-C-O-T-T, Bernstein, B-E-R-N-S-T-E-I-N, 16 at yahoo.com. Thanks, everyone, and have a great day.